Daniel Bryan is the new WWE champion, and it appears as though Daniel Bryan is a heel. What is going on out there, world? It's your boy, Tommy on the spot. Thank you so much for checking me out here today on the Smackdown post-show. Definitely could not do it. Couldn't go tonight without talking about everything that we saw on the show tonight. I thought it was great. I thought it was a really, really good show, and we're going to talk about everything that went down on the show. And I told you guys this morning when I was coming home on that awful quality where the sound is awful because I'm driving and YouTube Live just doesn't do well while I'm driving. I would told you guys to hang out, give WWE a little bit of benefit of the doubt here, because when things go hit the bed, WWE finds a way to come through. And I know not everybody loved the show tonight. I know a lot of people are pretty unhappy about it, but it came out of left field. It was something different. And, I mean, I don't know if you're like me, you're ready for the Survivor Series now. I mean, you are amped up for it. You don't know where they're going to go from here, and that's what you want to do. Before we get started here today, I am Tommy on the spot. Thanks so much for checking us out here on the Watch Along Wrestling Podcast YouTube page. If you like what you see, please do hit that subscribe button. I'm amped, man. I'm excited. This was the type of show, I had put it up on my Twitter. This was the type of show that really was one of these deals where the show ends, my phone blows up, people start texting, people start calling, people I didn't even think watched wrestling started calling, and we're really excited about it. And the reason for that is basically because folks know that I've been a big Daniel Bryan guy. My entire fandom for the last however many years has been all about Daniel Bryan, and he's my favorite wrestler. I've followed him on the indies when he was released by WWE. I traveled very, very far away in order to go follow him over in gymnasiums, high school gymnasiums, and I did. I really did. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it was good stuff. So that being said, Daniel Bryan out of left field tonight ends the streak of AJ Styles, his big streak there. He's held the title for 371 days. Didn't seem like they were ever going to take the belt off AJ Styles. Certainly not tonight, right before Survivor Series, but they do. Let's break down the entire show. Show opened up, and of course, going into the show, the big news was obviously that Becky Lynch is injured. We talked about the story from Fightful.com earlier today. Unfortunately, an errant punch from Nia Jax, which looked really bad, by the way. I mean, I told you guys before about how it's important not to do a deal where people were too hard on Nia Jax, but that punch it looked brutal as all hell. And I don't know if she was trying to pull back, but she just leveled her. And in doing so, the story is that it gave Becky Lynch a concussion, and in doing so, Becky Lynch is now off Survivor Series. And the big story of this show was that if you tuned in, they were going to give you something to watch, and basically midway through the show, they were going to tell you who Becky was going to handpick to face Ronda Rousey as at the Survivor Series, and she was going to get the chance to handpick her replacement. So I had a couple theories of where they were going to go with this. They didn't get there. I'm going to get to my theories once we talk about where they're going with the show. So this show starts out, AJ Styles comes out, and immediately Paul Heyman is trying to get the mic from Greg Hamilton. And Hamilton doesn't want to give him the mic. And Heyman would be the only Raw invasion of the night. It was one of these deals where they showed security in the back, and you kind of were just expecting that Raw was going to show up throughout the entire night. But the Raw roster never fully showed up. The only member was Paul Heyman. He came out and he started talking about, how Brock was excited to face the #2 wrestler in the world. Brock was ready to do so, and also started talking about Daniel Bryan. And this led to Daniel Bryan coming out, and immediately Daniel Bryan seemed a little bit different. And he said he didn't appreciate AJ calling him out, even though really it was Paul Heyman that called him out, but got up in AJ's face and even said that he was going to punch him in the face, which there was one guy in the crowd. So if you follow Daniel Bryan in Ring of Honor during his Ring of Honor days, there's a bunch of different Ring of Honor type chants for Daniel Bryan. There was punch him in the face. There was you're going to get your fucking head kicked in with the claps afterwards. There was best in the world. The best in the world, that all really started with Daniel Bryan in Ring of Honor. And then there was I have till 5 because he'd go to beat the guy out. The ref would try to get him off his opponent once the opponent hit the ropes, and the referee and then Daniel Bryan would say I have till 5. So this felt like an old school Daniel Bryan right from the start. He comes out, he tells AJ Styles, you know, if you ever mention my name again, I'm going to punch you right in the face. It's kind of like, whoa, what's going on with Daniel Bryan here? So they do go at it. Daniel Bryan takes him down. They start battling all over the place. Straight to the back. This leads Shane McMahon. He comes down. He's trying to separate everything. Chaos ensues. They go to the back, and in doing so, it's announced that tonight AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan are going to have a title match. And it felt like Twitter blew up. Felt like Twitter, people were so worried that AJ Styles was going to lose the title tonight. It's like everyone knew. It was like they're doing this. They're pulling out all the stops. They're going to hotshot angles because of the Becky injury, and they're going to try to give you something different. Me personally, it immediately just sprung to my attention because if you followed along Daniel Bryan, when he had that DVD that came out when he was champ, he talked about how the thing he wanted to do was face Brock Lesnar, and he was supposed to do it at SummerSlam 2014. He was supposed to have that match that Brock had with John Cena was supposed to be Brock Lesnar versus Daniel Bryan, and Brock was going to come out and just destroy him, much like he did John Cena, but it never happened because Daniel Bryan got hurt. So that's why Cena was kind of thrown in there, given another title reign, and instead Brock destroyed Cena, and in doing so, really turned into like the biggest babyface they'd had for quite some time. But Daniel Bryan, even after this, when he was talking about wanting to come back, his goal was always he wanted to come back to face Brock Lesnar. So for me, I'm like, oh my God, are we going to get this match Sunday? I mean, that's a dream match for me. Brock Lesnar against Daniel Bryan. I know if Brock Lesnar is motivated, he could always have a great match. And Daniel Bryan, he's been thinking about this match forever. And if he could put together a match like that, I was stoked, man. I was ready to go. So I thought it was going to be great. But people were really unhappy about this on Twitter. And, you know, hey, you can't take anything away from AJ Styles. 371 days as champ in this day and age as world champ was something to be proud of, man. You know, that's a big deal. And nobody should take that away from folks. And, you know, take it away from AJ. He had a great run. Sometimes, though, when someone has that long run, like when New Day had the belts forever, I mean, the Dudleys did a deal where they came back. They never got a title reign. Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows came in super hot from New Japan. They got a title reign after they had been cooled off by losing the New Day so much. So when somebody has a reign that long, it's almost like at the expense of what? AJ and Shinsuke Nakamura, you know, you can make a case he should have got the title at some point. Samoa Joe, in my opinion, should have got the title at some point. But they didn't get those titles, and instead, AJ was able to be the face that runs the place, the champ that runs the camp for quite some time. So it's time for something different, and I have no problem with this whatsoever. We'll get to it more once we get to the actual match. This led, though, with the match announcement, this did lead to The Miz being told he's now the sole captain of Team SmackDown Live. There was a match added Jeff Hardy against Andrade Cien Almas. Jeff won. Felt like this was an opportunity to get somebody fresh on the card. Andrade is really freaking good in the ring, and I feel like he was really hot in NXT. He was hot coming over from SmackDown. He's had great matches each and every week. But now we're starting to get to a point where he lost to Mysterio, he lost to AJ Styles, lost to Jeff Hardy, who I'm not too sure when the last time he fought Jeff Hardy was. I really felt like he hadn't fought Jeff Hardy for a while, and now here he is. He's fighting Jeff Hardy, and it was and he lost. And I thought that was one of these deals where it had kind of you know, it was not something that I think a lot of people necessarily wanted to do. So necessarily wanted to see. It seemed a lot of people kind of echoed my sentiment, at least the folks that I follow on Twitter, that maybe it would have been better to have Andrade on there as opposed to Jeff Hardy. But Jeff Hardy is on Team SmackDown. He is now a member who replaces Jeff Hardy. Daniel Bryan, rather. Something else they did The Miz against Rey Mysterio with this storyline that if The Miz beat Rey Mysterio, Mysterio was off the SmackDown team. So immediately now, I started putting the pieces together, as did folks on Twitter I saw too. But you can follow us on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter, @WatchWrestlePod. I love chatting with you guys. Always give you guys a little kudo. You know, there's a lot of folks who are super, super kind on Twitter and giving me a kudo for the point I made there about Bryan's reign, and I'm glad people were digging that. So always fun to talk with the wrestling universe, the wrestling community out there, And I'm blessed, man. I have a lot of folks who have decided to give me a follow. I always try to follow you guys back when I see that you guys follow, and really good stuff. So on Twitter, though, it seemed like a lot of people were like, "Oh my God, Danny Bryan's winning the belt, and then AJ's going to replace Ray." It didn't happen though. Ray beat The Miz, and in doing so, Rey Mysterio now is still on the team. So it's The Miz, Rey Mysterio, Samoa Joe, Jeff Hardy, and Shane McMahon representing Team SmackDown, and they'll obviously go against Team Raw, who we figured out last night. Finn Balor, Bobby Lashley, Braun Strowman, Drew McIntyre, and Dolph Ziggler. So that's pretty cool. That's a good match. It does feel like some of the top guys are not there. Obviously, no Randy Orton, no AJ Styles, no Seth Rollins, no Dean Ambrose. So a lot of those top guys are not a part of that. So I think that's definitely going to be middle of the card. After tonight, I'm thinking we're getting Daniel Bryan and Brock Lesnar as the final match on the show, and it should be. It's going to be great. So then so that was kind of the whole deal there with the SmackDown team. This led to Becky Lynch coming out, and I had two theories of where WWE was going to go with this. Number one, I thought, how cool would it have been if Becky Lynch had came out and said, "Ronda, I know there's one lady who I know can beat you," and brought out Holly Holm. I just thought that would have been completely out of left field. I thought that would have been something really unique, and it would have got the mainstream world talking. Now, I don't know if Holly Holm has any interest in doing professional wrestling, but Holly Holm made her name specifically off the fact that she beat Ronda Rousey and was the first woman to do so, after Ronda had been just mowing ladies down right and left in UFC. And then Holly Holm hasn't really had that success after that. Lost to Misha Tate, just hasn't looked as good. So I thought, wow, maybe they can get Holly Holm to come in, and I feel like the mainstream world will be like, oh my God, now Holly Holm and Ronda are mixing it up inside of a wrestling ring. It would really be something kind of cool and something different, but it's not the way they went. Theory number two I had was that they went with Nia Jax. I thought all night they were building up Nia Jax as being this rough and tough, ruthless lady who injured Becky Lynch, took Becky out, and in doing so, I thought maybe what they're going to do is have Becky name Nia as her replacement. So then you could do a deal where they're trying to, one last time, take Nia's heat that she's gotten by just beating Becky Lynch, flipping that around and giving Becky some of that heat and trying to make her a heel. But it seems like that didn't happen. WWE is finally accepting the fact that Becky is, babyface. People love her. People love Becky Lynch right now, probably more than anyone else on either show. People are just amped for her. People are excited for her. So Becky comes out. She cuts this incredible promo, so much fire. You could tell it's killing her that she isn't able to do the match against Ronda Rousey, and names Charlotte Flair as her replacement. And it was kind of cool in a weird way. It was kind of like, hey, you know what? Charlotte's been feeling horrible about herself. The whole storyline, she didn't know if she'd be able to do the SmackDown Live tag team, to even be the captain of SmackDown Live. She was feeling down about herself. So now Becky comes out, gives her the chance to replace her. Now you could do one of two things. One, you could kind of give that respect piece back between Becky and Charlotte. Or if Charlotte lets Becky down and doesn't win it for Becky Lynch like she said she would, now you can go back to Becky Lynch and Charlotte somewhere down the line. So, rumored WrestleMania main event. We're getting it Sunday at the Survivor Series. For a long time, it was always rumored it was going to be Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania. It seems now we're getting it at Survivor Series. I got to give a shout out to at WWE Our Dream, who had said something to the extent of that Becky would now face Ronda at WrestleMania. It would mean so much more. And I think that is your WrestleMania match. If they could do this right, hold that off. These guys are not going to be able to touch each other anyway. They're on different shows. The only chance you can have SmackDown versus Raw, technically, and I know there's a bunch of other times it's happened throughout the year, but according to WWE, it's only at Survivor Series. So now you have the SmackDown versus Raw match. It's Ronda versus Charlotte. And now you can do a deal where if at some point Becky or Ronda lose their belt, the other one could win the Rumble and set them up on a collision course for WrestleMania. And that could be something that is months and months in the making now. It's right there. It writes itself. A lot of people want to see that match and feel like they lost out on seeing it. So I hope that's where they go with it. And hey, a lot of people are hating on the Charlotte thing. Listen, was it ridiculous that Becky gave Charlotte a hug? Absolutely. I don't know what the hell that was about. It was ridiculous. Charlotte came out yesterday with her. Personally, I wouldn't have even had Charlotte on the stage with the rest of the female talent. I would have had Charlotte in the back, and then I would have had Becky go and talk to all the different ladies that were out there. And when it came time to choosing, say, hey, there's one lady I know is tough, and Asuka was really amped up, right? Asuka wanted, I think the crowd was like, oh, shit, we're going to get Asuka and Ronda. But then she would turn to the back and bring Charlotte out at that point and say, hey, we need you now. We need you to do your thing. We need you to do this. So, yeah, I mean, that is what I thought was going to happen. That's what I thought they should have done. Instead, they just had all the ladies hug Charlotte like, you can do this. It's like they're all rallying up around Becky and around Charlotte and want to see her do it now. The only two who didn't were the Iconics. If you caught that, the Iconics were kind of standing off to the side. They were kind of like, you know, get out of here. We don't care about you, Charlotte. Should have been one of us that was chosen. Thought that was really kind of cool. And Iconics are great. Just freaking awesome characters and continue to impress me every time they're on TV. They make you want to watch. So it will be Charlotte Flair against Ronda Rousey. I wouldn't hate on this match. I think the match is going to be great. I think they're going to really do well. What a show on Sunday. We'll get to all that in a minute. But what a show on Sunday. What this does mean now is that Charlotte is not the lady who is the women's team captain for Team Smackdown. As a matter of fact, it went off the air, and there was nobody announced as the team captain for SmackDown Live. There's one thought. There's been a rumor running around that Paige had been cleared to return. I don't know where this started. I don't know where it was brought up. Paige quickly dismissed the rumor and said if she takes one bad fall, she can be paralyzed. Maybe that's the direction they're going. Maybe Paige was trying to turn, and I'm just speculating on this. Please, you know, nobody go and report, folks. You know, at Watch WrestlePod, Tommy on the spot was saying that Paige would be the team captain of SmackDown Live, but maybe she's doing the old Matt Hardy, Chris Jericho, trying to turn off the fans by writing that. I wouldn't think that's where they're going with it. But they could also do a deal where Paige just is the team captain and never gets in the ring. You just have Asuka destroy every woman on the Raw roster. Asuka and Paige win. Paige never has to even get in the ring. So they can go that direction. Or they could just go Mandy Rose and just add her in last minute. You know, I'm not too sure which way they're going to go with that. Next up, New Day and The Bar. This was more of something to kind of lead to the revealing of the three other teams that were going to join the Usos and the New Day. So you can make a strong case when you saw the Raw teams yesterday that the Usos and the New Day probably could have beaten those Raw teams without three additional teams. The Bar and New Day was fine. Bar won, set up, you know, they should win. They're the tag champs, and they're going for the big match tomorrow. On Sunday, rather, against AOP. And then it was revealed the Usos were in the back, and Usos such a good promo, especially when they're in the back there and they're really amped up, they're getting excited. They did a deal where they brought out, they announced that it's going to be the Club, it's going to be Sanity, and it will in fact be the Colognes. Primo and Epico were on the show. I was really hoping this was going to be someone from NXT or someone from maybe even 205 Live that would be brought up. Maybe bring someone back. Wouldn't it be cool to see like Crime Time brought back for one night only? The Headbangers like they brought back that time. But instead, the Colognes are there. They're on the show. It's a pre-show match. But all five of the teams on SmackDown, I mean, the Colognes are fine. I always feel like Primo was underrated and could have been a big star if they had given him the chance. And don't hate me on that. Go back and watch Carlos Colon get inducted to the WWE Hall of Fame. Primo comes across like a total star when he's introducing his father. But what was not meant to be. Instead, it was one of these deals where they kind of did this deal, and they showed up and they had this great shot of the Usos right there, and you had all the guys kind of on the side, on each side of them, and around them was Sanity, around them was the Club, around them was the Primo and Epico, and everyone looked super badass. I felt like, damn, this is a pretty good SmackDown tag division. You'd have no clue that those other three teams are barely ever on the show. But it'll be cool, man. It's fun to have that tag match back. Reason to tune in at Survivor Series pre-show, which starts at 5 o'clock East Coast time here in New York City. So that means 2 o'clock local time for the live show in LA. This led to the last thing on the show, Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles. A great match, went 3 segments, got a lot of time, felt like a big-time title match. Ended up where AJ came, he's trying to hit the phenomenal forearm, ends up banging in the referee, knocks the ref down. Bryan gives AJ a low blow, and immediately the crowd turns. Like, this was not a deal. Like, the crowd was like, we don't want to see heel Daniel Bryan. Boo! No. Like when he was on the Wyatt family, it was like, damn you, Daniel Bryan. You're going to turn against our beloved AJ Styles, the guy who gets a huge pop every week. And they turned on him. They turned on Daniel Bryan 100%. There wasn't even like a smart-ass Tommy on the spot in the crowd doing a yes chant. There was nothing. The crowd like ripped him apart. It was weird, but it was exciting nonetheless. And from there, Daniel Bryan came and kicked him with the hit him with the flying knee. And 1, 2, 3, Daniel Bryan, your new world champ, will go on to face Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series on Sunday. Can't wait. I'm pumped for it, and just a great show. I mean, think about this Survivor Series card now. We're gonna go through this quickly here. Pre-show, you got the tag teams. You've got before we even get there, let me just put the Daniel Bryan thing to bed, because I know there's folks who aren't thrilled about it. If you're going to turn Daniel Bryan, the guy you turn him against is AJ Styles. People love AJ Styles. He is the best babyface they have, no matter what he does, right? Like, I feel like his title reign really wasn't that exciting. It was long, and you know, kudos to him, and he's had great matches up and down the card. But like, it was starting to get a little stale, right? So you had, I felt like at some point someone had to beat him. You have Bryan come out, you have Bryan beat him, cheats to beat him. After the match, he's straight up doing the Daniel Bryan, you're gonna get your fucking head kicked in, grabbing AJ by the arms and kicking him. Came out like a total badass, total American dragon, and drag Bryan Danielson. If you saw him in Ring of Honor, this is what he was doing tonight. And then he was doing that maniacal, like, sick heel laugh. It was great, and I thought it was awesome. I'm telling you right now, if you've never seen Daniel Bryan as a heel, you're in for a treat, because he's a fantastic heel. He can be a smarmy heel behind the mic, but like, if he becomes that aggressive heel who's not afraid to go after anybody and who's just the best in the ring, this could be a lot of fun. Hope they keep it up. Hope they go with it. And the AJ Bryan series that we're going to get should be a lot of fun coming out of SmackDown Live. So that is that's basically where it was. I thought that if you're going to do the turn, it came out of nowhere, but it was really well done. It's a shame that the AJ title run wasn't finished on a pay-per-view, but hey, that's why you got to tune into SmackDown Live. I've said this a million times. SmackDown Live is a fun show. It has a very formulaic way of dealing with things, and they have great matches on the show. And if you're a fan of pro wrestling, you can catch it. But if you miss it, there's never anything that feels like you've missed SmackDown Live. You've got to tune in. I'd really say since KO headbutt Vince McMahon, or maybe when AJ beat Jinder for the title, it felt like after that, anything on the show, if you missed it, hey, you missed some good matches, get around to it when you can, but it's nothing must-see storyline-wise. Tonight, you got a lot of that, and I think that's really good stuff. So this will lead us to Survivor Series now. Tomorrow morning on the page here, you will see I'll be putting up my top 10 traditional Survivor Series matches of all time. Check that out. Hope you guys enjoy that. I love the traditional Survivor Series matches, and was able to go ahead and do that. This weekend, we'll have on Saturday morning, Breakfast with Tots returns. Have a little breakfast, and we'll talk about NXT TakeOver War Games, a little prediction show there. Back on Sunday for the Survivor Series show. Trying to do a Watch Along Wrestling podcast on Survivor Series 2011. I'm working on the specifics of that. I'm working on it. Hopefully we can pull it off. Hopefully we can do it and have a good time. And just a whole bunch more. So keep on logging in. It's been a lot of fun talking with you guys every day. Today was fun, man. I mean, it sucks. You get the news about Becky Lynch. It's a total bummer. But that's what's great about wrestling is unfortunately the show must go on, and we'll give you something to talk about that you feel good about by the end of the show. And hopefully some folks did feel good about this Daniel Bryan run. If you feel bad about it, it'll be something else you'll like soon, I guess. But let's get through let me just go through the Survivor Series card. Survivor Series card. Let me pull it up here to make sure I don't screw anything up. You have the tag team match, the tag team elimination match on the pre-show, and that is going to be a match between you have the Team Usos, New Day, Sanity, Colognes, The Club, going up against Team Raw, which will be the B Team, the Revival, the Ascension, the Lucha House Party, and team captains Glorious Bobby Roode and Chad Gable. And then on the main card, a Cruiserweight title match. I think this is still on the main card. Unless something changes tomorrow on 205 Live, maybe it'll be announced for the pre-show. But you have Buddy Murphy defending the championship against Mustafa Ali. Take it anytime. It'll tear down the house. Hopefully they're on the main show. Some more eyeballs will see it. Traditional Survivor Series match. The Raw woman, led by Alexa Bliss on the outside, consisting of Natalya Neidhart, Nia Jax, Tamina, Ruby Riott, and Mickie James, taking on Team SmackDown. Asuka, Carmella, Naomi, and somebody else who's on that show. And Sonya Deville. 2 nights in a row I've shown disrespect to Sonya Deville by forgetting she was on the show. And a partner to be named later. We talked about that earlier. Sorry. I'm excited. I'm about to lose my voice. I'm so excited. The men's teams, we talked about them earlier. You got Braun Strowman, Drew McIntyre, Dolph Ziggler, Bobby Lashley, and Finn Balor taking on the Team SmackDown, which is team captain The Miz. And then you also have Samoa Joe, Rey Mysterio, the Jeff Hardy, who was added tonight. And you also have Jeff Hardy, and then you also have Rey Mysterio. So that'll be cool. That'll be a lot of fun. And then you have, that's a traditional Survivor Series elimination match. Then you have tag team champions, The Bar with The Big Show, taking on AOP with Drake Younger. Then you have Intercontinental Champion Seth Rollins against United States Champion Shinsuke, who was on the show tonight. Shinsuke Nakamura, who kept saying he was drinking. I don't know what he was doing, but he was saying he was drinking Seth Rollins, and it's kind of cool. I love Shinsuke. I think he's great no matter what he does. He certainly can be utilized more, so it was at least good to see him on the show. Then, obviously, Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey, Women's Championship match, and the main match of the main event, Daniel Bryan versus Brock Lesnar. It's finally happening at the Survivor Series. I'm amped. I'm stoked. That is going to do it for us today. Hopefully, you guys liked the show. If you hated the show, feel free to sound off in the comment section or let us know over in the live chat. Last night, Rachel made a great comment over in the comment section on our Raw show. Told me I forgot about the attack that Becky did with the chair. And she's right. I was a little caught up in the great moment of her coming out with the strut and her having the bloody face and her, just looking like a badass, doing the armbar in the back. But she did attack Ronda with the chair. That was cool. That was badass. And shout out to Rachel for letting me know about that. So if there's anything I forgot on the show that you want to make mention of, let me know. And the next time I'm around, I'll make sure to give you the same kudo. Until next time, everybody, this has been Tommy on the Spot. You can follow me on Twitter at WatchWrestlePod. And if you've been able to check us out, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I really do appreciate it. Until next time, make sure to keep it locked right here tomorrow. Top 10 traditional Survivor Series matches of all time, according to me. And you can check out that list too. Until next time, everyone, this has been Tommy on the Spot. You have a great night. Oh, look at that awkwardness. I put the smile on, didn't even close it. And all right, this is it.